गौरांग गंधार गिरिधारी शिष्य राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जू की जाय। नित्यानंद विष्णु विष्णुपाद अश्वतर शत श्रीमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्रील गुरुदेव की जाय। नित्यानंद विष्णु विष्णुपाद अश्वतर शत श्रीमार भक्ति नित्यानंद विष्णु विष्णुपाद अश्वतर शत श्रीमार भक्ति वेदांत साई महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्यालप विष्णु विष्णुपाद अशुतर शतश्मर भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्यालप विष्णु विष्णुपाद अशुतर शतश्मर भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्यालप विष्णु महाभागवत श्रील गोरक्षदास बाबूजी महाराज की जाय। नित्यालप विष्णु श्रील सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जाय। नित्यालप विष्णु वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जाय। श्री रूपानुगौर्य गुरु वर्ग की जाय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जाय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जाय। नाम अक्षय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जाय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौरमंडल ब्रजमंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जाय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदाता गिरिराज महाराज की जाय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जाय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जाय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जाय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जाय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जाय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। जय श्री रामानुजाचार्य की जय। तृतीय शुभ आविर्भाव तिथि की जय। शिला भक्ति हृदय बन गोसाई महाराज की जय। तृतीय शुभ आविर्भाव तिथि की जय। श्री केशव व्रत प्रथम दिवस की जय। जय श्री तुलसी, what do you say, तुलसी जल धारा दान की जय। श्री केशव प्रिय तुलसी महारानी की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. All right, so let's begin the Mangalachara. Strange, usually there's more people by now. No, it's only Nidhi Hari Prabhu. Okay, so Mangalacharana. Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Avatirno Sakarunyo Parichinno Sarishvaro Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Dvau Bhrataro Bhaje. Namastri Kala Satyaya Jagannatha Sutaya Cha Savrityaya Saputraya Sakalatraya Te Namaha. Jai Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Lakshmi Kanta Jai Jai Nityananda Vallabha Ekanta Jai Jai Vaikunta Ishwar Nyasi Raj Jai Jai Jaya Bhakata Samaj. That's okay. Jai Jaya Patita Pavana Gora Chandra Dana Deho Hridaye Tomar Pada Dvandva Shesha Khanda Katha Bhai Shuno Ekachite Nila Chale Gora Chandra Aila Jemate. Tavai Vasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Vina iti vigyaya devī tvam nayamang charanantikam bhaktya vihina aparada lakshaya Shiptashtakama ditarangamadhe Kripa maitvam sharanam prapanna Vrinde namaste charanaravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All right, so the glories of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata and Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur from Śrī Caitanya-charātamrita. Ore mura lokshuno Chaitanya Mangal Chaitanya Mahima Jate Jani Veshakar Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kohe Ved Vyas Chaitanya Lilar Vyas Vrindavana Das Koilo Chaitanya Mangal Jahara Shravane Nashi Sarvaya Mangal Chaitanya Nitāi Jate Janiye Mahima Jate Jani Krishna Bhakti Siddhanter Sima Bhagavate Jata Bhakti Siddhanter Sar Likhiya Chen Iha Jani Koriya Udhar Chaitanya Mangala Shune Jadi Pashande Javan Sheho Maha Vaishnava Hoy Tatakhan Manushe Rachite Nare Aiche Granta Dhanya Vrindavana Dasamu ke Bhakta Shri Chaitanya Vrindavana Dasapore Koti Namaskar Aiche Granta Kori Teho Tarila Sansar Nārāyaṇī Chaitanya Uchishta Bhajan Tar Garve Janmila Shri Dasa Vrindavan Tar Ki Adbhuta Chaitanya Charita Varnan Jahara Shravane Shuddha Koila Tribhuvan Shahaje Vichitra Madhur Chaitanya Vihar Vrindavana Dasamukhe Amrite Dhar. By nature, all the activities of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu are very wonderful and sweet. And when they're described by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, they become like a shower of nectar. Jai Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki Jai. Jai Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki Jai. The Gaudiya Bhashya of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada ki Jai. Swaparshad Śrī Gaurahari ki Jai. Nitāi Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. All right. Dandavat first before I begin, let's see all who's here. Hare Krishna Rasapriya Didi and Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, and Champak Mataji. Strange, usually there's many more people by now. Anyhow, I guess we'll just begin.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat
Pranams. Dandavat Pranams to Hari Prabhu, Hare Krishna. All right, so we've been reading this chapter 5 of Antya-khaṇḍa of Caitanya-bhāgavata for a few days now, quite a few days. And today we'll be completing this chapter and also beginning chapter 6. And then also we'll read something for Rāmānujācārya, some selected instructions by Rāmānujācārya and for his appearance day. And then I haven't chosen anything for Śrīla Bhakti Hṛdaya Gosvāmī Mahārāja yet. We'll find something. All right, so in this chapter describes Mahaprabhu's journey from Shantipur to Srinivasa's house in Kumarhatta, the Lord's meeting with Shivananda Sen and Vasudev Thakur, the benediction awarded to Srivas, the Lord's arrival at the house of Sri Raghav Pandit in Panihati, his meeting with the devotees there, the Lord's visit to Varahanagar, and awarding the designation Bhagavat Acharya to a particular devotee brāhmaṇ, Bhagavat reciter, whose name was Raghunath Bhagavat Acharya. The Lords returned to Nilachal. Prataparudra's intense eagerness to meet Mahāprabhu. The king's observation in a dream that Lord Jagannath and Lord Gaurasundara are non-different. The king's meeting with the Lord in a flower garden and humble prayers to the Lord. The Lord's order to Nityananda and his associates to go to Bengal and preach. Śrī Nityananda's preaching love of God in Bengal and his pastimes of delivering the fallen souls. The chapter ends with an introduction of Śrī Nityananda's associates and the author's humble presentation of himself as the last servant of Śrī Nityānanda. Okay, so I'm going to skip the detailed summary, and I'm just going to start from the part with the dacoits. Okay, let's start from here. Let's start from the beginning of the paragraph. Okay, so after some time, Śrī Nityananda came to Śrī Advaita's house in Shantipur. Śrī Advaita Acharya, this is after where? After going to Saptagram? No, after going, where did Nityananda go? First he went to Panihati, then he went to where? Hṛdaya, Saptagram, Hṛdaya, Saptagram, where the place of Udharan Datta Thakur, and other places. Then now, after some time, Nityananda came to Śrī Advaita's house in Shantipur. Śrī Advaita Acharya offered prayers to Nityānanda Prabhu, and then the two spent the entire day in great ecstasy discussing topics of Krishna. From Shantipur, Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu went to Navadvip and went straight to Sridham Mayapur to meet Mother Shachi. Śrī Nityānanda and his associates enjoyed ecstatic kirtan pastimes in Navadvip and enacted pastimes of delivering the fallen souls. In this connection, the author describes an incident involving a dacoit of Navadvip. In Navadvip, there was a particular young brāhmaṇ who was the leader of the dacoits. That leader of dacoits saw the opulent ornaments on the body of Śrī Nityānanda and desired to steal them. Thinking in this way, he began to travel with Nityananda with a desire to steal his ornaments. Realizing that Śrī Nityānanda was living alone at the house of Hiranyapandit, that leader of dacoits, along with his fellow dacoits, waited at night, fully prepared in a solitary place near the house of Hiranyapandit. They began to contemplate who would take which ornament of Nityananda. But by the will of Śrī Nityānanda, the dacoits soon fell asleep. When they woke early the next morning to the sound of crows, they hastily hid their weapons at some place and returned to their respective homes while blaming each other. On the next night, the dacoits first worshipped the goddess Chandi with great pomp by offering her wine and flesh. And after collecting various weapons and wearing kavachas, or protective amulets, they surrounded the house of Nityananda at the dead of night. But contrary to their expectations, they found innumerable, fully prepared, fierce-looking soldiers who were constantly chanting the name of Hari. They were guarding the house of Nityananda, and they were wearing flower garlands. They became greatly astonished to see this, and after making various arguments among themselves, they concluded that there was no hope of their success on that particular night and left. When on the third night, the dacoits entered into the residence of Śrī Nityānanda, they immediately lost their sight and started falling into filthy pits and thorny bushes. At that moment, Lord Indra began to shower heavy rain and storm there by making the lives of the dacoits miserable. After this incident, the leader of the dacoits had a change of heart. So he took shelter at the lotus feet of Nityananda and prayed for his own deliverance while offering prayers to Nityananda. Śrī Nityananda bestowed mercy on the leader of the dacoits by forbidding him to again engage in sinful activities while misusing his independence. Moreover, Śrī Nityānanda delivered other dacoits through this leader of the dacoits. In this connection, the author describes the glories of Nityananda's mercy, his preaching of the holy names throughout Navadvip, his frequent visits to Kulia on the other side of the Ganga, the characteristics of Śrī Nityananda's associates, a brief introduction to some of Nityananda's associates, and himself as the last servant of Nityananda and the son of Nārāyaṇī Devi, a recipient of Chaitanya's mercy. All right, let's just read the last part of this dacoit thing directly from the book, because that was pretty, yeah. Let's see. I'll type in Indra. That's a good keyword. Oops. Yeah. Wait, 1 second. Here. Okay. We'll read from this point on. Okay, so Nityananda fearlessly and happily wandered about everywhere in the company of the devotees. The sinful dacoits soon made another plan and gathered near the house where Nityananda Chandra was staying. By the arrangement of providence, it was completely dark that night because of dense clouds. No other persons were out that night. On that formidable night, each of those dacoits carried 5 to 10 weapons. As soon as they entered the courtyard of the house, they were completely blinded and unable to see anything. 1 second, we're reading up to verse. Oh, whoa, I'm way too far back. Oh, Hare Krishna, Jai Krishna Prabhu, Rasai Shri Mataji, Sudevi Didi, Krishna Mai Didi, and Gopal Ghanasham Prabhu and Champak Mataji, Hare Krishna. Okay, so those dacoits became so blind that they could not see a thing, and their life heirs, their intelligence, and their minds became paralyzed. Some fell into the trench and were bitten by leeches, insects, and bees. Some fell into a pit where food remnants were thrown and suffered from the bites of insects and scorpions. Some fell on thorns that pierced their entire bodies so they were unable to move. Some fell into a hole wherein their hands and legs were broken, and they began to cry. Some of the dacoits were afflicted by fever, but every one of them became frightened. At that time, the mischievous Indra sent a great rainstorm there. First, the dacoits suffered the bites of leeches and insects. Then they suffered further from the great rainstorm. Hail fell on them, yet they did not die, but simply floated in an ocean of misery. Then one lightning bolt struck there, and they forgot themselves and lost consciousness out of fear. Because of the heavy rain, the dacoits were completely soaked and began to shiver from the extreme cold. They were blinded and unable to see a thing, and now they suffered from the great rainstorm and cold. Realizing that they had come to trouble Nityananda, the angry Indra awarded them severe punishment. After some time, the brāhmaṇ leader of those dacoits suddenly had a thought out of some good fortune. The brāhmaṇ thought, Nityananda is not a human being. He is certainly the Supreme Lord. He cannot be an ordinary man. One day he bewildered us with sleep, yet we could not understand because of the influence of the Lord's illusory energy. Another day he showed us those most wonderful soldiers, but still we did not come to our senses. This suffering is appropriate for sinful persons like us, for we tried to plunder the Lord's wealth. So who can protect me from this great danger? I have no shelter other than Nityananda. After thinking in this way, the brāhmaṇ meditated on and took complete shelter of the lotus feet of Nityananda. By meditating on his lotus feet, even one who has committed millions of offenses is immediately delivered from all difficulties. He prayed, "O Nityananda, O Śrī Balagopal, please protect me. O Lord, you are the maintainer of all living entities. Please protect me. O Lord, if a person falls forcefully to the ground, the earth again supports him." And then there's this verse. Bhumir skarlita padanam bhumir eva labam. Anyways, I think you say this verse in Archan, right? Isn't that one of the aparad Shama mantras or something like that? Anyways, yeah. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has verses like this in Sharanagati. Those who trip and fall have only the ground as support to again get up. Similarly, O Lord, those who commit offenses to you have no one but you for refuge. Anyway, so he made many prayers. I'm going to skip this part. Then, okay. After returning home in this way, the dacoits immediately went to take bath. Sorry. By the influence of surrendering to Nityananda Swarup, they were freed from the distress caused by the rainstorm. Shortly thereafter, the dacoits found their way and returned home almost dead. After returning home in this way, the dacoits immediately went to take bath in the Ganga. The brāhmaṇ leader of the dacoits then came crying to the lotus feet of Nityananda. Nityananda, the Lord of the universe, was sitting, casting his merciful glance on the fallen souls. The devotees in the four directions were chanting the name of Hari, and the crest jewel of the Avaduts roared in ecstasy. Anande Hunkar Kore. At that time, the great dacoit Brahman arrived there, raised his arms and called out, "Please protect me, Trahi," and offered his obeisances. The hairs of his entire body stood on end, and he shed incessant tears while his body trembled. He constantly roared and thundered in ecstatic love. That Brahman lost all external consciousness as he cried. While seeing the opulences of Nityananda Swarup, he began to dance in joy. He raised his arms and repeatedly called out, "Oh Nityananda, deliverer of the fallen souls, save me." When everyone saw the behavior of the dacoits, they were struck with wonder and thought, how could such a dacoit behave like this? Someone said, he must be playing some trick. Under this pretext, he may raid the house later. Someone else said, Nityananda is the deliverer of the fallen souls. By his mercy, his heart is changed. On seeing the transformations of ecstatic love in that Brahman, Nityananda smiled and inquired from him. The Lord said, "Tell me, O Brahman, what kind of behavior is this? I see your behavior. What kind of behavior is this? I see your behavior appears most wonderful. Did you see or hear something that gave you realization of Krishna? Do not worry. Tell everything frankly." Hearing the Lord's words, the fortunate Brahman could not speak, but continued to cry. He rolled on the ground throughout the courtyard. He spontaneously laughed, cried, danced, and sang. After some time, the Brahman became pacified and began to speak to the Lord. I'm going to skip what he said, just because I don't want to take too long to read this. He tells everything that happened to them, though. And then he says, "By your mercy, we remembered your lotus feet with full attention. Then our vision was restored. Such is your greatness, O deliverer of the fallen. That we were all released from such suffering is not the real benefit of remembering you. By remembering you, one is freed from all bondage of ignorance and easily attains the abode of Vaikuntha." As the Brahman spoke, he cried loudly, "Such are the pastimes of Avadut Nityananda Prabhu." When everyone heard what had happened, they were astonished. Then they all offered obeisances to the Brahman. The Brahman said, "O Lord, now let me go. It is not proper for me to keep this body any longer. Since I intended to harm you, my atonement should be to drown myself in the Ganga." On hearing the sincere words of the Brahman, the Lord and the devotees became pleased. The Lord said, "O Brahman, you are most fortunate. You are certainly Krishna's servant birth after birth. Otherwise, why would he bestow such mercy on you? Who other than his servant can see such opulence? Chaitanya Gosai has appeared to deliver the fallen souls. There is no doubt about this. Listen, O Brahman, I will relieve you of whatever sins you have committed, if you do not commit them again. Give up violence to others, stealing, and other immoral activities. Do not do such things again. Lead a religious life and chant the name of Hari. Then you can also deliver others. You should gather all the rogues and dacoits together and induce them to lead religious lives." After speaking these words, Nityananda took the garlands from his neck and happily gave it to the Brahman. Everyone then chanted, "Jai, Jai." In this way, the Brahman was relieved from all material bondage. The Brahman caught hold of the Lord's lotus feet, shed tears, and lamented with great humility. "O Nityananda Prabhu, O deliverer of the fallen, please give this sinful person shelter at your lotus feet. Since I desire to harm you, what will be the fate of this sinful person?" Nityānanda Prabhu, the ocean of mercy, then placed his lotus feet on the Brahman's head. Having received the Lord's lotus feet on his head, all of the Brahman's offenses were nullified. By the influence of that Brahman, all sorts of dacoits took shelter of Lord Chaitanya and led religious lives. They gave up thievery, violence to others, and immoral activities, and behaved like great saintly persons. They all chanted the name of Hari hundreds of thousands of times, and they became experts in the devotional service of Lord Vishnu. They became intoxicated with love for Krishna and constantly chanted Krishna's names. Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu is such an ocean of mercy. The shelter of the Supreme Lord was not easily attainable in other incarnations, but Nityananda always induced everyone to surrender to Lord Chaitanya. Any Brahman who does not accept Nityananda Swarup is counted among the thieves and rogues. The transformations of ecstatic love desired by the best of the yogis, like shedding tears, shivering, hairs standing on end, and roaring, were achieved by even thieves and rogues. Such was the potency of Nityananda Swarup. Oh, brothers, just worship Nityananda Prabhu, by whose mercy one can attain Lord Gaurachandra. One who hears the topics of Nityananda Prabhu will attain the lotus feet of Lord Gaurachandra. Anyone who hears these topics of delivering the dacoits will see Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya. In this way, Nityananda fearlessly and happily enjoyed his pastimes. Thereafter, Nityananda, in the company of his associates, went from village to village and performed blissful kirtan. I think we read up to this point, right? Yeah. Okay. Thereafter, Nityananda, in the company of his associates, went from village to village and performed blissful kirtan. He visited Kanachoda, Badagachi, and Dogachiya, and sometimes he went to Kulia, which is situated on the other side of the Ganga. Did we read this commentary? I can't remember. Anyways, let's just read it again. Gaudiya Bhashyam. Another reading for Kanachoda is Kalachada. Some people call it Kanachoda, Kanajoda, Kanachota, or Kanachoda. Kalachada refers to an old riverbed or dried up bed or ditch where the Ganga previously flowed. The village of Bodogachi exists even today and is situated near the villages of Kalashira Kala and Rukunapur. The house of Śrī Nityananda's father-in-law is in this village. Nityananda's father-in-law is Suryadas Sarkela, right? I think so. The village of Dogachiya is situated near Krishnanagar. One of Nityananda's servants used to live there. Śrī Navadvip refers to Śrī Mayapur, which is situated on the eastern bank of the Ganga. Koladvip, or Kulia, is situated on the western bank of the Ganga. According to the opinion of all learned persons, the present city of Navadvip was known as Kulia during the time of Mahaprabhu. Śrī Mayapur Navadvip is situated on the eastern bank, across from the village of Kulia. According to the statement of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata, Sabe matra Ganga nadiyai kuliyai. Only the Ganga lay between Nadia and Kulia. Śrī Navadvip Mayapur is always situated on the eastern bank of the Ganga, and Kulia was and is always situated on the western bank of the Ganga. Even now, places like Kuliyarganj, Amada Kola, Tegarir Kola, and Kuliyar Daha indicate the location of ancient Kulia. One second, I'm just going to put this. Oh, Hare Krishna Amit Dandekar. I'm going to put this on this side so that I can see comments. One second. All right. There. All right. Visheshe Sukriti Ati Borogachi Gram Nityananda Swaruper Viharer Stan. And the village of Bodogachi is especially glorious, for Nityananda Swarup enjoyed many pastimes there. Bodogachi gramer jotik bhagyodoy tahar korite nae parisamuchoy. It is difficult to estimate the good fortune of Borogachi village. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word samuchoy means to fathom, to count, or to estimate. Nityānanda Saruper Parisharagan Niravadi Shave Paramanandaman. All the associates of Nityananda Swarup were always filled with great ecstasy. Karakona Karmanai Sankirtana Bine Sabar Gopala Bhav Bade Kone Kone. They had no engagement other than to perform Sankirtan, and they all became increasingly absorbed in the mood of cowherd boys. Vetravangshi Shinga Chanda Dari Gunjahar Tara Khadu Hate Paye Nupur Savar. They carried sticks, flutes, horns, and ropes. They wore necklaces of gunja, and they decorated their wrists with bangles and bracelets, and their ankles with ankle bells. Niravadi Savar Sharire Krishna Bhav Ashru Kampa Pulaka Jateka Anurag. Their bodies were always filled with the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness, and they manifested the symptoms of pure devotional service, like crying, shivering, and hairs standing on end. Sabar Sondarya Jeno Abhinna Madan Niravad. I'm connected now to my mobile hotspot. When the power comes back, I'll go back to Wi-Fi. Okay. So Savar Sundarya Jeno Abhinna Madan Niravadi Shabe Koren Sankirtan. Their beauty was equal to that of Cupid, and they always performed Sankirtan. All these associates of Nityananda. Remember, they carried sticks, flutes, horns, and ropes. They wore necklaces of gunja and decorated their wrists and bangles with bracelets and their anklets with anklets. Their bodies were always filled with the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness, and they manifested the symptoms of pure devotional service, like crying, shivering, and hair standing on ends. Their beauty was equal to that of Cupid, and they always performed Sankirtan. Sorry, I was thinking about something else when I read that, so I just wanted to read it. Okay. Paya Abhay Swami Prabhu Nityananda Niravadi Kotuke Thaken Bhakta Vrinda. Having attained their fearless master, Nityananda Prabhu, the devotees were always joyful. Nityananda Saruper Daser Mahima Shatta Vatsare Okori Bare. Sorry, Shatta Vatsare Okori Bare Nahi Sima. I cannot describe all the glories of Nityananda Swarup's servants, even in 100 years. Tatapi ho nama kohi jani jar jar nama matra smarane otariye sangsar. Still, I will mention the names of those whom I know, for simply by remembering their names, one is delivered from material existence. Jar jar shange Nityaanander Bihar Shabe Nanda Goshti Gopa Gopi Avatar. The devotees with whom Nityananda enjoyed pastimes were all incarnations of the cowherd boy and cowherd girl associates of Nanda Mahārāja. Gaudiya Bhashya. The associates of Śrī Nityananda were cowherd boys, cowherd girls, and family members of Nanda Mahārāja in Krishna's pastimes. Nityananda Swaruper Nished Lagiya Punam Nalekilo Vidita Korea. Being prohibited by Nityananda Swarup, I'm not disclosing their previous names. Their names are in Vrajalila, right? Gaudiya Bhashya. Śrī Nityananda prohibited his devotees from discussing in public the names by which his associates and companions were known during the pastimes of Krishna. But for the information of the devotees, the names by which Śrī Nityananda's associates in the pastimes of Gaur were known in the pastimes of Krishna are described by Śrī Kavi Karnapur in the book Śrī Gaurasundara, which will be coming out in English by like GBP will be publishing this book soon. Sri Vaswati translated it. Parama Parshad Rama Dasa Mahashaya Niravadi Ishwar Bhave She Katha Koi. His principal associate was Ram Das Mahashaya, who always spoke in the mood of the Supreme Lord. Jar Bakya Keho Jar Na Pare Bhujite Niravadi Nityānanda Jar Hṛdayate. No one could easily understand his words. Nityānanda always resided in his heart. What's his name? Ram Das Mahashaya. Yeah, we read about this already. Sabaradhika bhav grasta Ram Das Jar Dehe Krishna Achilena Tina Mas. Of all the devotees, Ram Das had the most intense feelings of ecstatic love. Krishna resided in his body for 3 months. Gaudiya Bhashya. Ram Das, who is the topmost associate of Śrī Nityānanda, always spoke on the mood of the Vishaya Vigraha, the object of worship. Yet he was not a Mayavadi follower of Shankaracharya. Many people who did not understand his actual position misunderstood him as a Ahangrupasak, or one who worships himself as a supreme. Actually, Ram Das was always eager to gratify the senses of the Supreme Lord. Since the foolish Mayavadis consider living entities and the supreme brāhmaṇ as one, they cannot understand the endeavors of the devotees. Once Śrī Ram Das concealed his mood as a servant, and Krishna entered his body and resided there for 3 months. If one takes advantage of this incident and independently acts like Krishna, his attainment of hell is guaranteed. Many followers of the Rāmānandi Sampradaya, this Sampradaya is a branch of the Rāmānujā Sampradaya and is not associated with Ram Das, follow the path of Ahangrahopasana. Wow, so even the Rāmānujā Sampradaya, some branches of the Rāmānujā Sampradaya, Rāmānuja's appearance day today, but some branches from that they follow Ahangrahopasana. Crazy. Since the Mayavad philosophy is prominently found in their literature, the Vaishnavas of the 4 authorized sampradayas do not agree with them on all matters. For a description of Ram Das, see Caitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 11, text 13, and the Anubhashya commentary on it. Prasiddha Caitanya Das Murari Pandita Jar Khela Mahasarpa Vyagrer Sahita. Murari Caitanya Das was a renowned associate who sported with large snakes and tigers. Oh yeah, we read about Murari Caitanya Das jumping on the backs of tigers and chasing them. He would like chase the tigers. Gaudiya Bhashya. For a description of Murari Pandit, see Caitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila chapter 11, text 20, and the Anubhashya commentary on it. And also see this chapter. We previously read about him. Raghunatha Vaidya Upadhyaya Mahamati Jan Drishti Pate Krishne Hoy Rati Mati. Raghunatha Vaidya Upadhyaya was most magnanimous. By his glance, attachment for Krishna would awaken in one's mind. Gaudiya Bhashya. For a description of Raghunatha Vaidya Upadhyaya, see Caitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila chapter 11, text 22, and the Anubhashya commentary on it. Prem Bhakti Rasamoy Gadadhar Das Jar Darshana Matra Sarva Papanash. Gadadhar Das was filled with the transcendental mellows of ecstatic love. He was Prem Bhakti Rasamoy. Simply by seeing him, all sinful reactions were destroyed. Oh, the power is back. 1 second, let me just, let me switch back to the Wi-Fi. All right. Prem Bhakti Rasamoy Gadadhar Das Jar Darshana Matra Sarva Papanash. It says my internet connection is unstable. Let me know if it's not working well. Then if it's not working well, I can switch back to my hotspots. Where is? Sorry, this phone is almost out of battery, and in case the power goes out again, just going to charge it. Okay. All right, Gaudiya Bhashya. For a description of Gadadhar Das, see Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila chapter 10, text 53, and the Anubhashya commentary on it. And we read about Gadadhar Das in this chapter, how he fearlessly went to the Qazi's house, the Qazi who people would run away on seeing him. And he went to him and said, where's the Qazi? If you don't chant Krishna's name, I'll rip off your head. And the Qazi came out completely, first he was really upset, but then he was taken aback. I think he was caught off guard when he saw Gadadhar Das in his simplicity. And then he said, I'll chant, what did he say? Hari. I'll chant Hari tomorrow. And then Gadadhar said, why do you have to chant tomorrow? You already chanted Hari, Hari Bol. And he started dancing. So yeah, that's Gadadhar Das. Prem Rasa Samudra Sundarananda Nam Nityananda Swaruper Parshada Pradhan. Sundarananda was an ocean of the mellows of ecstatic love. He was the chief of Nityananda Swarup's associates. I'd never even heard of him. Gaudiya Bhashya. For a description of Sundarananda, see Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila chapter 11, text 23, and the Anubhashya commentary on it. Pandit Kamala Kanta Parama Udam Jahare Dile Nityananda Saptagram. Pandit Kamalakanta was most grave. Nityananda entrusted the village of Saptagram to him. Gauridas Pandit Parama Bhagyavan Kaya Manobhakya Nityananda Jar Pran. Gauridas Pandit was most fortunate, for he accepted Nityananda as his life and soul with his body, mind, and speech. And Gauridas Pandit is the, what would he say, uncle-in-law of Nityananda, right? He's Janava and Vasudha's uncle. Gaudiya Bhashya. For a description of Gauridas Pandit, see Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila chapter 11, text 26, and the Anubhashya commentary on it. Purandar Pandit Parama Shanta Danta Nityananda Swaruper Vallabha Ekanta. Purandar Pandit was greatly peaceful and self-controlled. He was extremely dear to Nityananda Swarup. I think in this chapter we read about him jumping from a tree or something, saying, I am Angad, right? And didn't he spend a lot of time in the trees? I can't remember, actually. Anyways, but yeah. Gaudiya Bhashya. For a description of Purandar Pandit, see Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila chapter 11, text 28, and the Anubhashya commentary on it. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Let's just look in this chapter. We'll come back here in a second. Okay. Yeah, Purandar Pandit. Yeah, see, look, Purandar Pandit would climb a tree and jump from it, declaring, I am Angad. On the way, the Lord came to the house of Purandar Pandit in the village of Hṛdaya. As he entered the village of Hṛdaya, Lord Nityananda danced so wonderfully that is beyond description. Purandar Pandit became so intoxicated with ecstatic love that he climbed a tree and roared like a lion. Yeah. So Purandar Pandit was greatly peaceful and self-controlled. He was extremely dear to Nityananda Swarup. For description of Purandar Pandit, see Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila chapter 11, text 28, and the Anubhashya commentary on it. Nityananda Jivan Parameshwari Das Jahar Vigrahe Nityananda Vilas. Nityananda was the life and soul of Parameshwari Das. Nityananda enjoyed pastimes in his body. Gaudiya Bhashya. For a description of Parameshwari Das, see, is it the same verse? Okay, this is text 26. This one's text 28 for Purandara, and now text 29 of the Adi Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 11, Anubhashya. Dhananjaya Pandit Mahanta Vilakhan, Jahar Hṛdaya Nityānanda Sarvakhan. Dhananjaya Pandit was an extraordinary devotee. Nityananda always resided in his heart. Then text 31 of chapter 11 of Adi Lila, Anubhashya, if you want to see a description of Dhananjaya Pandit. Prem Rase Mahamata Balarama Das, Jahar Vatase Sa Papa Jai Nash. Balaram Das was intoxicated with the mellows of ecstatic love. The breezes that touched his body destroyed all sins. See text 34 of that same chapter, the Anubhashya, to see more about Balaram Das. Yadunath Kavi Chandra Prema Rasamoy Niravadi Nityananda Jahare Sadai. Yadunath Kavi Chandra was filled with the mellows of ecstatic love. Nityananda was always merciful to him. Now read the Anubhashya of text 35 of chapter 11 of Adi Lila to know more about him. Jagadish Pandit Parama Jyotir Dham Sapashare Nityananda Jar Dhana Pran. Jagadish Pandit was the abode of great effulgence. Nityananda and his associates were his life and soul. Now, text 30 of chapter 11 to know the Anubhashya of that to know more about him. Pandit Purushottam Navadvipe Janma Nityananda Swaruper Mahabhritya Marmam. Pandit Purushottam took birth in Navadvip. He was a confidential servant of Nityananda Swarup. Text 33 of that chapter 11, the Anubhashya, to know more about him. Purve jar ghare Nityananda vasati, jahar prasade hoy Nityanande mati. Nityananda had previously stayed in his house. By his mercy, one's mind would be fixed on Nityananda. Radhe Janma Mahashai Dvija Krishna Das, Nityananda Parishade Jahar Vilas. Dvija Krishnadas Mahashai was born in Radha Desh. He enjoyed the association of Nityananda's associates. Text 36, the Anubhashya, to know more about Dvija Krishnadas. Prasiddha Kaliya Krishna Das Satribhuvane, Gaura Chandra Labhya Hoy Jahar Smarane. Kaliya Krishnadas was famous throughout the three worlds. By remembering him, one can attain Gaura Chandra. For a description, Gaudiya Bhasha, for a description of Kala Krishnadas, also known as Kaliya Krishnadas, see that same chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 11, text 37, and the Anubhashya commentary on it. Sadashiv Kaviraj Mahabhagyavan Jar Putra Purushottam Dasa Nam. Sadashiv Kaviraj was most fortunate. He had a son named Purushottam Das. I wonder if that was the same Purushottam that we just read about. For a description of Sadashiv, chapter 11, verse text 38, and Purushottam Das is text 38 also. Same verse, the Anubhashya. Bahya nahi Purushottam daser sharire Nityananda Chandra jar Hṛdaya vihare. The body of Purushottam Das displayed no external consciousness, for Nityananda Chandra resided in his heart. Udharana datta maha Vaishnava udar Nityananda sevai jahar adhikar. Udharan datta was a great magnanimous Vaishnava. He was qualified for the service of Nityananda. And he was in the Suvarna Vanik, like the mercantile community. He was in, and we have a mat called Udharan Gaudiya Mat. That's Śrīla Vāman Gosvāmī stayed there a lot. And that's Umadidi's town, Chunchuda. It's Udharan Gaudiya Mat. And the Udharan Datta Thakur's vigrahas of, was it Nitāi, or I can't remember. Anyways, but his vigrahas that he personally worshipped are served there. So for a description of him, see text 41, the Anubhashya of that chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Mahesh Pandit Ati Parama Mahanta Paramananda Upadhyaya Vaishnava Ekanta. Mahesh Pandit was the most exalted devotee. Paramananda Upadhyaya was an exalted Vaishnava. See text 32, Anubhashya, and text 44, Anubhashya of chapter 11, to know more about these two personalities. Chaturbhuja Pandit Nandana Ganga Das Purvejar Ghare Nityaanander Vilas. Ganga Das was the son of Chaturbhuja Pandit. Nityananda had previously stayed in his house. I'm just going to say, see text 43 for more about Ganga Das. You know the chapter and and it's Anupasya. Acharya Vaishnavananda Parama Udar Purve Raghunath Puri Nama Khyati Jar. Acharya Vaishnavananda was most magnanimous. He was formerly known as Raghunath Puri, 1142. Chaitanya Charitamrita Anupasya. Prasiddha Paramananda Gupta Mahashai Purve Jar Ghare Nityaanander Alai. Paramananda Gupta Mahashai was well known. Nityananda enjoyed pastimes in his house. See text 45 Anupasya. Borogachi Nivasi Sukriti Krishna Das Jahar Mandire Nityaanander Vilas. The fortunate Krishnadas was a resident of Borogachi. Nityananda enjoyed pastimes in his house. So there are many different Krishnadasas, but this is a Krishnadas, the resident of Borogachi. See text 23 of chapter 11, CC, Adi. Krishnadas Devananda Dui Shuddhamati Mahanta Acharya Chandra Nityananda Gati. Krishnadas and Devananda were both pure-hearted. The exalted devotee Acharya Chandra accepted Nityananda as his goal of life. See text 46. Gayan Madhavananda Ghosha Mahashai Vasudeva Ghosha Ati Prema Rasamoy. Madhavananda Ghosh Mahashai was a singer. Vasudeva Ghosh was filled with the mellows of ecstatic love. I didn't know they were associates of Nityananda. So see text 15 for both of them. Text 15, chapter, whatever. Mahabhagyavanta Jiva Pandit Udar Jar Ghare Nityananda Chandrer Vihar. The most fortunate Jiva Pandit was magnanimous. Nityananda Chandra enjoyed pastimes in his house. See text 44, CC, Adi, 11. Nityananda Priya Manohar Narayan Krishnadas Devananda A Charijan. The four devotees Manohar, Narayan, Krishnadas, and Devananda were dear to Nityananda. See text 46 to hear about all of them. Manohar, Narayan, Krishnadas, and Devananda. The Anupasya, 46. Jata Bhritya Nityananda Chandrer Sahite Shata Vatsare Otaha Na Pari Likhite. I am unable to write about all the servants of Nityananda Chandra even in 100 years. Sahasra Sahasra Eko Sevakir Gan Savar Chaitanya Nityananda Dhana Pran. Each of those servants had thousands of followers. They all accepted Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as their wealth and life. Nityananda Prasade Tahar Guru Sama Śrī Caitanya Rase Sabe Parama Uddama. By the mercy of Nityananda, they were all qualified spiritual masters. They were all greatly intoxicated by the mellows of love for Lord Chaitanya. Kichu matra ami likhi layana jani jare shakala vidita hoibo veda vyasa dware. I have mentioned only those whom I know. The others will be described by Veda Vyas. Sarvashesh Bhrityatan Vrindavana Das Avashesha Patra Nārāyaṇī Garbhajata. The last of his servants is Vrindavan Das. He took birth from the womb of Nārāyaṇī, who is the recipient of the Lord's remnants, referring to himself. I, Vrindavan Das, is one of the last of his servants. I am one of the last of his servants. Gaudiya Bhashya. The author, Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur, is not identified as a descendant by his paternal line. Rather, he became famous for his relationship with his mother, who is a devotee of Gaur. It is well known that his mother, Sri Nārāyaṇī Devi, accepted the remnants of Sri Chaitanya Dev. Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur, the son of this Nārāyaṇī, was the final servant of Sri Nityānanda Prabhu. Adyapiho Vaishnava Mandale Jar Dhvani Chaitanyar Avashesha Patra Nārāyaṇī. Even today, the Vaishnavas glorify Nārāyaṇī as the recipient of Lord Chaitanya's remnants. Śrī Krishna Chaitanya Nityānanda Chanda Jan Vrindavana Dasa Tochu Pada Juge Gan. Accepting Śrī Caitanya and Nityānanda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Thus ends the English translation of the Gaudiya Bhashya of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata Antya-khaṇḍa chapter 5, entitled The Pastimes of Nityānanda. Hari Bol. Jai Ho. Jai. Nityānanda Rama ki Jai. All the associates of Nityānanda ki Jai. And Vrindavan Das Thakur ki Jai. And his mother, Nārāyaṇī Devi. What is she referred to? Chaitanya Avashish Patra Nārāyaṇī Devi ki Jai. Nitāi Gaur Brahmanande Hari Hari. Hare Krishna Vidyalala Sadidi and Shubhananda Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. Oh, and Vishaka Didi and is Ganga Mataji there as well? Oh, and your daughter's name is Krishna Tulasi Devi. Śrī Ram Tulsi. Krishna Tulsi, Ram Tulsi. Wow, very nice. And Vilas Manjari Didi. Hare Krishna. All right. That was ecstatic hearing about all the associates of Nityānanda Prabhu. Now we are moving on to chapter 6. We're just going to read a little bit of chapter 6, and then we'll and then for any of you who have to go after that, that's totally fine, but I'll read a little something, some instructions from Rāmānujācārya, whose appearance day it is today. All right, what am I looking for? Caitanya-bhāgavata, Madhya chapter, oops, not Madhya, why am I clicked on Madhya? Antya, oh shoot. Sorry guys, I'm really slow right now. I just lost my spot. It's Antya. Strange, where are the Antya-khaṇḍa files? There. Okay, chapter 6. I counted yesterday, I think we only have 12 more readings, and then we complete the entire Caitanya-bhāgavata. Okay, so chapter 6, the glories of Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu. More Nityananda glories, woohoo! I'm gonna skip the commentary we'll read the summary tomorrow. Jai Jai Gaurachandra, Jai Nityānanda, Jai Jai Prabhu Jatika Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Gaurachandra, all glories to Nityānanda, all glories to the devotees of the Lord. What's this chapter called? Yeah, chapter 6, glories of Nityānanda. God, I have a fish brain. Okay. Heno Mate Mahāprabhu Nityānanda Chandra Sarvadasa Sahakore Kirtana Ananda. In this way, Lord Nityānanda Chandra enjoyed the ecstasy of kirtan with all of his servants. Vrindavana Madhyajeno Korilen Lila Shemata Nityānanda Swaruper Khela. Nityananda Swarup enjoyed his pastimes as he did in Vrindavan. Akaitava Rupe Sarva Jagater Prati Lawayen Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ratimati. He sincerely induced everyone in the world to become attached to Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Gaudiya Bhashya. The majority of the people in the world are attached to sense gratification and liberation. On the pretext of presenting religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu attracted everyone to pure devotional service, propagated by Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Shange Parishad Gan Parama Uddam Sarva Navadvipa Prame Mahajyotir Dham. The greatly effulgent Nityananda wandered throughout Navadvip in the company of his enthusiastic associates. Alankar Malai Purnita Kalevar Karpur Tambula Shobhe Suranga Adhar. His body was decorated with ornaments and garlands. Because he chewed betel nuts mixed with camphor, His lips were reddish. Gaudiya Bhashya, the word suranga means red or blood red. Dekhi Ram Nityānanda Prabhur Vilas, Keho Shuka Pai Karo Na Janme Vishwas. On seeing the pastimes of Nityananda Ram Prabhu, some people became happy, and some felt no faith in him. She Navadipe Eka Achin Brahman, Chaitanyar Shangetan Purva Adhyayan. In Navadip, there was one Brahman who previously studied with Lord Chaitanya. Nityananda Swaruper Dekhiya Vilas, Chitte Kichutana Janmi Ache Avishvas. On seeing Nityananda Swarup's activities, he developed some doubts. Chaitanya Chandrete Tar Borodrida Bhakti, Nityananda Swaruper Na Janen Shakti. He had firm devotion in Chaitanya Chandra, but he was not aware of the potency of Nityananda Swarup. Daiveshe Brahman Gelen Nila Chale, Tathai Achin Koto Din Kutu Hale. By the arrangement of providence, that Brahman went to Nilachal and happily stayed there for some time. This Brahman who, on seeing Nityananda's activities, developed some doubts. He had devotion to Chaitanya Chandra, but he wasn't aware of Nityananda's potency. Pratidin jai vipra Śrī Caitanya sthane, Parama Vishvasthana Prabhur Charane. That Brahman went daily to see Lord Chaitanya, for he had great faith in the lotus feet of the Lord. Daive ekadina she Brahmana nibrite, chitte icha korilen kichu jigyasite. One day that Brahman found an opportunity to privately ask the Lord about something he had on his mind. Vipra bole Prabhu mor ekani vedan, korimu tomar sthane jadi deho man. The Brahman said, O Lord, I have something to ask you. Kindly hear me. More jodi britta heno jnana thake mane, ihar karan Prabhu koho Shri vadane. O Lord, if you consider me your servant, then please personally explain something for me. Navadipe giya Nityananda avadhut, kichuto na bhujomui koren kirup. I cannot understand anything about what Nityananda Avadut is doing in Navadip. Sannyasa ashramatan bole sarvajan, karpur tambul she bhojan sarvakhan. Everyone says he's a sannyasi, but he always chews betel nuts mixed with camphor. Gaudiya Bhashya. Oh, Hare Krishna Rinki. Haribo. Gaudiya Bhashya. Since Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu taught the people of this world to accept scented oils, sandalwood paste, fine dress, and ornaments as the remnants of Krishna, foolish people branded him as fond of enjoyment. As a result, many people had no faith in him. Then again, the intelligent persons who considered that giving up objects related to Hari was Falgu Vairagya, or false renunciation, took pleasure in Nityananda Prabhu's preaching. According to the injunctions of the scriptures, a sannyasi is prohibited from accepting objects of enjoyment like scented oil, sandalwood paste, and betel nuts. But I don't actually know this word. Precocious, okay. Having developed certain abilities and ways of behaving at a much younger age than usual. So but the precocious, proud Prakrit Sahajas freely enjoy an abundance of betel nuts on the pretext of honoring prasad. Nichare Paka. Since the imitation of Paramahansa behavior by such unqualified people is always condemnable, ordinary foolish people fell into illusion by considering even Śrī Nityānanda, the original shelter of Paramahansa disciples, as a vivikta, or dry renunciate, or a dhira sannyasi, a neophyte sannyasi. Dhatu dravya parashite nahi sannyasire, Sona rupa mukta she tahar kole vare. The Brahmin said, a sannyasi is prohibited from touching items made of metal, but his body is decorated with gold, silver, and pearls. Gaudiya Bhasha. The Prakrit Sahajas say that at the present time, Śrī Rāmakrishna Das has protected the honor of the sannyasa ashram by refusing to accept items made of metal. A devotee sannyasi should not use gold and silver like Śrī Nityānanda. There is no doubt that the principles of the independent Vedic sannyasi become polluted by using these items. But if one internally considers himself a paramahansa and externally does not use items made of metal, the desire for fame will capture his heart, and as a result of cheating people, such behavior will be accepted as low class. If one refrains from using items made of metal during the processions and festivals because people will criticize, and if one displays poverty in the performance of the Lord's service, then the misguided materialistic philanthropist will not be able to understand the purport of the verse beginning, Aradhananam Sarvesham, Vishnu Aradhanam Param. If in the present day one gives up saffron loincloth and becomes misguided by wearing fine silk cloth and decorating his body with sandalwood paste and flower garlands, then, as a result of imitating the behavior of Paramahansas, he will bring about his own ruination. And if some portion of the ideal characteristics of Śrī Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Śrī Ramananda Rai, and Śrīmad Nityananda Prabhu is seen in a devotee situated in Paramahansa principles and devoid by nature of the desire for fame, then every intelligent person will understand. Unfortunate people accumulate offenses by seeing materialism in Vaishnavas. Kashai kopina chari divya patavas, Dhorin Chandanamala Sadai Vilas. The Brahmin continued, he has given up saffron loincloth and wears fine silk cloth. He always decorates himself with sandalwood paste and flower garlands. Danda chari loha danda, Dhorin vakene, Shudrer ashrame she thakin sarvakhane. Why did he give up the danda and take up an iron staff? Why does he always live in the homes of Shudras? Gaudiya Bhasha. While explaining the activities of Śrī Nityānanda to Śrī Gaurasundara, the enthusiastic Brahman with superficial vision said that a sannyasi is supposed to carry a danda, but instead of doing that, Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu has taken up an iron staff and spends time with unseeable and untouchable Shudras rather than giving up their association. Since Śrī Nityānanda exhibited such behavior, which was opposed to scriptural injunctions, the Brahmin had no faith in him and was therefore doubtful. What verse are we reading up to? Let me just check really quick in the WhatsApp group. Reading up to verse 36, okay. Shastra mata muitana na dekho achar, eteke moharchite sandeho apar. I do not find his behavior in accordance with the scriptures, so my mind has become full of doubts. Gaudiya Bhasha. In the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Shri Krishna Janma-khaṇḍa, chapter 83, it is stated, Tambulam vidhava strinam yatinam brahmacharinam sanyasinam chago mangsa suratulyang shruto shrutam. For a widow, a brahmachari, a renunciate, or a sannyasi to eat betel nuts is as good as eating beef and drinking wine. This is heard in the Vedas. Okay, I guess I can never eat betel nuts. In the Paramahansa Upanishad, it is stated, Aniketa stitir eva sapikshur hata kadinam naiva parigrahet. Sorry, I didn't say the right meter for that. A sannyasi should not have a fixed residence and should never accept opulent items like gold. In the Kurma Puran, it is stated, Gramante vrikshamule vasam devalaye pi vadhota kashaya vasano bashmach channatanur anuruha. Sorry. A sannyasi should live outside the village, under a tree, or in a temple. He should wear clean saffron cloth and cover his body with ashes. In the Śrīmad Bhagavatam 7.13.2, it is stated, Vibrad yadyaso vasa kopina chandanam param. A person in the renounced order of life may avoid a dress to cover himself. If he wears anything at all, it should only be a loincloth. In the commentary on the Paramahansa Upanishad, it is stated, Hiran mayani patrani krishnaya samayani cha yatti nam tanya patrani varjayit gyani bhikshuka yasmat bhikshur hiranyam rasena drishtam cha sa brahmaha bhavit yasmat bhikshur hiranyam rasena sprishtam cha sa polkasho bhavit yasmat bhikshur hiranyam rasena grahyam cha atmaha bhavit. So I didn't do the right meter for that. I couldn't figure it out. Okay, a wise sannyasi should give up gold utensils for the pleasure of Krishna, because if he decorates himself with gold, he becomes the killer of a brāhmaṇ. If he touches gold with the spirit of enjoyment, he becomes a dog eater. And if he accepts gold, a sannyasi becomes the killer of the self. Yikes. In the Aruneya Upanishad, it is stated, Dandam achadanam cha kopinam cha parigrahet shesham visrijet. A sannyasi should accept only a sannyas danda, loincloth, and outer cloth, and give up everything else. In the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Prakriti Khanda, chapter 33, it is stated, Dandam kamandulam rakta vastra matram chadharayat nityam pravasina naikatra sasanyasi kirtita shudrachara dvijanam cha bhunkte lobha divarjita. A sannyasi is one who keeps only a danda, a water pot, and saffron cloth, and who always travels and does not stay at one place. He should maintain his livelihood by giving up greed and accepting meals at the houses of pious brahmanas. Boro log boli tare, bole sarva jane, tathapi ashramachar na kore kene. Everyone says, so the Brahman continued, everyone says Nityananda Swarup is a great personality. But then why doesn't he behave according to his ashram? Jadi more bhritya heno jnana thake mane ki marma ihar prabhu koho Shri vadane. If you consider me your servant, O Lord, then please explain this mystery. Sukriti brahmana prashna koilo shubha khane amayai prabhu tattva kohilena tane. The pious Brahman had made this inquiry at a proper time, so the Lord explained the truth without reservation. Gaudiya Bhashya. A doubt that the Brahman developed on seeing Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu's deviation from proper behavior was actually an indication of his good fortune. This is a very good lesson for us, that it doesn't mean that if you have a doubt, all of a sudden, oh, you're an atheist and you're destroyed, and but no, if we bring the doubt, not in a challenging way, but in a mood of humility, then we have all auspiciousness for us. That's the proper thing. It's if you keep a doubt inside and you don't ask it, you don't speak it out, then that doubt will destroy you from within inside. It's like a cancer. You need to, anytime there's any doubts, any devotional topic, we should, in a mood of humility, we must bring it to a senior Vaishnava, and they'll remove this doubt. Gaudiya Bhashya. The doubt that the Brahman developed on seeing Nityananda Prabhu's deviation from proper behavior was actually an indication of his good fortune. Shuniya viprer vakya Śrī Gaurasundara hasiya viprer prati korila uttar. On hearing the words of the Brahman, Śrī Gaurasundara smiled and replied, Shuno vipra maha adhikari jeba hoy, tabe tan dosha gun kichu na janmoy. Listen, O Brahman, when one is highly qualified, one is not affected by faults and virtues. Gaudiya Bhashya. Gaurasundara said to that pious doubtful Brahman, Material qualification or superficial vision is one thing, and to grasp the profound meaning through keen vision is another thing. The qualification of those who always favorably cultivate Krishna consciousness after giving up the coverings of extraneous desires, karma, and gyan is different from that of others. Materialistic people are under the control of their mind, intelligence, and false ego. Material faults and virtues cannot enter the transcendental realm. As a lotus leaf cannot hold mercury or water, a heart engaged in serving and giving pleasure to Krishna never invites inauspiciousness based on selfish interest. Okay, 27. As stated in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 11:20-36. So Nityānanda Mahaprabhu quoted this verse to the brāhmaṇ. Namai ekanta bhaktanam guna doshod bhava guna sadhunam samachittanam budhe param upeyusham. Material piety and sin, which arise from the good and evil of this world, cannot exist within my unalloyed devotees, who, being free from material hankering, maintain steady spiritual consciousness in all circumstances. Indeed, such devotees have achieved me, the Supreme Lord, whom beyond anything that can be conceived by material intelligence. Parma patre jeno kabo nahi lage jal, ei mata Nityānanda Swarupa nirmal. Nityānanda Swarup is pure, just as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Paramarte Krishna Chandra tahan sharire, nishchoy jani ho vipra sarvada vihare. O brāhmaṇ, know for certain that Krishna Chandra always enjoys pastimes in the body of Nityānanda. Gaudiya Bhashya. Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu is always engaged in the favorable cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, since Krishna is situated within him, whatever actions he performs should not be considered like the activities of ordinary living entities who are forced to enjoy the fruits of their karma. Adhikari boy kore tahan achar dukha pai she jan papa janmetar. If an unqualified person imitates his behavior, he will suffer and become implicated in sin. Rudra bine anye jadi kore vishapan, sarvathai more sarva purana praman. If anyone other than Rudra drinks poison, he will certainly die. This is the verdict of all the Puranas. Gaudiya Bhashya. Mrityunjaya, or Shiva, who has conquered death, easily drank poison and became known as Nilakanta. But if, on seeing that, unqualified worthless living entities consider themselves equal to him, they bring about their own ruination by falling into inauspiciousness. As fire can burn any object to ashes, persons with spiritual intelligence can remain indifferent to material wealth and activities by not using them for their own enjoyment. As stated in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Wait, where are we reading up to verse 32? 1 second, let me just check again. 36, okay. As stated in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 10:33-29-30. Śrī Shukla Vacha Dharma Vyakti Kramo Drishta Ishvaranam Chasahasam Tejiyasam Nadoshaya Vahne Sarva Bhujo Yata Naitach Samacharej Jatu. This is a famous verse. Manasapi Yanishvara Vinashyatyacharan Modhyad Yatarudro Dijam Visham. The status of powerful controllers is not harmed by any apparently audacious transgression of morality, such as seeing women. Okay, so the status of powerful controllers is not harmed by any apparently audacious transgression of morality, such as seeing women, we may see in them. For they are just like fire, which devours everything fed into it and remains unpolluted. Certainly, one who is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead should never, even within his mind, imitate his activities. If out of ignorance one does so, he will be destroyed, just as if one were to imitate Lord Shiva, who drank poison produced from the ocean. Eteke jena janiya nindetana karma nija doshe she dukha pai janma janma. Therefore, a person without knowledge who criticizes his activities suffers birth after birth because of his faults. Garhita koroe jadi maha adhikari, nindar ki dae tare hasile mori. What to speak of criticizing? If a person even laughs at a qualified person who performs an immoral activity, he is vanquished. Gaudiya Bhashya. This is the last verse. We're almost finished. Persons who are qualified Mahabhagavats are not to be criticized by those who are less qualified. A person who ridicules the activities of a Mahabhagavat is inevitably degraded. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from a Vaishnava Guru, all these topics can be properly understood. In the Skanda Purana Maheshwar Khanda 17.106, it is stated, Sadhunam samachittanam upahasam kurotiya deva vapyatava martya sa vigyeyo tamadhama. One who ridicules a devotee, who sees everyone equally, should be understood to be most fallen, whether he is a demigod or a mortal being. Bhagavata hoite eshab tattva jani, taho jadi Vaishnav gurur mukhe shuni. All these truths can be known from Srimad Bhagavatam if one hears from the mouth of a Vaishnav guru. And now Mahaprabhu is going to give evidence from Srimad Bhagavatam. What happened to my cursor? Oh, there. Okay. Oh, my mouse ran out of battery. 1 second. Okay. So yeah, now Mahaprabhu will say, now hear attentively what the Srimad Bhagavatam says about what happens to a person who laughs at the behavior of a devotee. Now he gives a story. Once Krishna and Balaram went for studies. After finishing their studies, they decided to return. They asked their guru, what dakshina should we give you? Their guru consulted about with this. Anyways, this is a bit long, so we'll read this tomorrow. This evidence from Srimad Bhagavatam, this pastime, that teaches us about not laughing at a qualified person who performs an immoral activity. Wow. We read a whole article about this in our in our Raise of the Harmonist Ishtagoshti group, that article by Śrīla Bhakti-Raksha Śrī Gosvāmī. So I'm very interested to see what Mahaprabhu has to say on this topic. All right, so that is our reading for today. Well, actually, if anybody needs to go now, I know it's very late for Krishna Maya Didi and others. But yeah, so I totally understand if you need to go now, it's very late. But for anybody who has a little bit more time, I'm going to read some selected instructions from Rāmānujācārya, whose appearance day it is today. Okay, so screen again. Actually, before that, okay, Dandavat Pranams, Krishna Maya Didi. All right, so what is it? Actually, first, before we do that, oh, Vaijanti Mala. 1 second, let me just hear what Vaijanti Mala has to say, because I was asking her for this short excerpt from Raise of the Harmonist, from Śrīla Bhakti Hṛdaya Bhān Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Let's see if she...
Yeah, that was such a controversial article.
Oh, it's a controversial article, that one. Oh, okay, anyways, I'm not going to listen to that out loud, but... Okay, so it's somewhere in between 2005 and 2010, but it's a controversial article. Kind of makes me more interested to hear it. Like some people were against putting it in Raise of the Harmonist, and some people weren't. So anyways, first, let's see what Kishore Krishna has in so Kishore Krishna, I'm not sure if he's with us right now. Are you there, Kishore? He has a WhatsApp group called 1 Minute Harikatha. And he probably, let's see if he shared it. Yes. So here's something about Śrīla Bhakti Hṛdaya Bhān Gosvāmī Mahārāja and Rāmānujācārya. This one's 42 seconds. If anybody wants to join this group, let me know. I can send you the link to join. Where's the link? Anyways, yeah, let me know if you want to join this. for special appearance days and disappearance days, he speaks a short excerpt. So here's for Bhakti Hṛdaya Van Maharaj, 24 seconds.
Śrīla Bhakti Hṛdaya Van Maharaj was a disciple of Bhakti Sant Saraswati Thakur, and he could speak Harikatha for many, many hours without pause. His eyes would move like a gramophone, looking at everyone. He was once asked if he experienced any problem when he first joined the temple. He said, yes, but such problems would go away when I would hear Saraswati Prabhupada's Katha.
Jai, Jai, Śrīla Bhakti Hṛdaya Van Gosvāmī Maharaj ki Jai. Let's hear the Rāmānujācārya thing now. It's 42 seconds.
One gangster was looking at the eyes of his wife. He was very bewildered by her eyes. Rāmānujācārya approached him and asked him, what are you doing? I'm looking at my wife's eyes. Why don't you look at Lord Nārāyaṇ? I'm not interested in him, the gangster replied. Rāmānuja told him, I will show you someone's eyes that are so much more beautiful than your wife's. Hearing this, the gangster came with Rāmānujācārya to the temple of Lord Nārāyaṇ, and Rāmānujācārya showed him the real eyes of Lord Nārāyaṇ, and this gangster, becoming bewildered, became the disciple of Rāmānujācārya. Jai Rāmānujācārya.
Jai ho. Nice. All right, so I'm going to open up this article. Selected instructions of Śrī Rāmānujācārya. This is from Rays of the Harmonist, I think 2008, I think, or 2010, either 2008 or 2010. Can't remember which one. This is translated from the book Four Vaishnavacharyas and Gaudiya Darshan. This is going to, actually, most of this book has been translated. We're going to publish this soon, GVP. Okay, I'm not going to, I'll say the Sanskrit for the first verse, but then I'll just read the translations after that. This is from the Prapanamrita, 65:24. Swadeshikasya kainkaryo Vaishnavasya cha pratipatim samankritva kainkaryam karayat sada purvacharyokta vakyeshu vishvase naiva vartayet. One must accept oneself to be the servant, the das, and perpetually serve both Gurudev and the Vaishnavas, giving them equal respect. One must place one's trust in the words of the previous acharyas. Okay, I'm going to stop reading the Sanskrit from this point on, but just because it's not much time. One must not spend all one's time, day and night, engaged as a servant of one's senses. Apart from Paramarthik Shastra, and that scriptures concerned solely with the absolute reality, all other scriptures are quite ordinary. Do not be attached to them. Prapanamrita 65:28 says, flowers, sandalwood paste, betel, and other fragrant ingredients must never be used simply to satisfy our taste for enjoyment. In other words, devotees must accept them as the remnants of Bhagavan for activities that foster progress in bhakti, but never for their own enjoyment. Wow, we're just reading about this topic, right? In our Caitanya-bhāgavata reading. Okay, 65:29. Let whatever affection, priti, you have developed for the unending Nam Kirtan of Śrī Bhagavan be truly the same for the Nam Sankirtan of Śrī Bhagavan's devotees. Oh, we also read something like this in our Caitanya-bhāgavata reading today, right? About the names of those. What did we read? Anyhow, and there's actually, and also this morning we sang the song Dhanamora Nityānanda Patimor Gorachandra. How does it go? Vaishnaver namete ulas. Tarpan mor Vaishnaver nam. Narottam Thakur says that I get my sustenance or Tarpan mor Vaishnaver nam. And I feel elated when I think of the names of the Vaishnavas. That's my elation, is the names of the Vaishnavas. How do you translate Tarpan? Tarpan mor Vaishnaver nam. How does the verse go? Vaishnaver padaduli tahi mor snana keli. Tarpan mor Vaishnaver nam. Anyhow. The shelter of the lotus feet of Mahabhagavats is the sole cause of attaining Bhagavan. Knowing this, one must obey their orders with steadfast determination. That's 65:30 of Prapanamrita. I'm just going to read the number because it seems like this is all from chapter 65 of Prapanamrita. I'll just read the numbers. 31. As attachments to the objects of sensual pleasure ruins even the wisest of men, so too, by forsaking one's transcendental nature of loving service, dasattva to Vishnu and Vaishnavas, one shall verily destroy oneself. Verse 32. An intelligent person will unfailingly abandon upai buddhi, the idea that by serving Vaishnavas, some extrinsic reward can be attained. And they shall perpetually adopt upeya buddhi instead. Upeya buddhi is the realization that such service is itself the greatest reward, only available to those who have performed a vast amount of good deeds. Sukriti. Wow, I like this one. This is a very nice verse. Do not become struck with verse 45. Do not become struck with amazement upon hearing kirtan and glorification of various demigods. On the other hand, it is offensive if the sight of devotees performing Nam Sankirtan of Vishnu and the Vaishnavas does not bring you any joy. Verse 49. If a Vaishnava first offers obeisances to you and states, I am your servant, then it constitutes severe aparad if you do not honor him in return. 50. We must be very discreet regarding a Vaishnava's natal backgrounds or conditions that may arise in him, such as sleepiness or fatigue. Indeed, if we perceive any apparent insufficiency in a Vaishnava, we must never reveal it or speak about it to anyone. Dekive shunive bolivena, like Srila Rāmānujā would say. He said that was the last instruction Srila Param Gurudev gave to him. And also this verse is reminding me of the verse, Drishtai Sabhava Janatar Vapushashta Dosha Na Prakritatanihat Bhakta Janasya Pashet from Upadeshamrita. Okay, verse 55. One must not consider oneself to be equal to Vaishnavas. If out of carelessness one touches the body of a gross materialist, then after bathing with all of one's clothes on, one must at once drink the water that has bathed the lotus feet, the Charnamrita of a Vaishnava. Wow. Okay, verse 62. Bhagavan Sri Hari's pure prasad, which takes away all sins, must never be considered contaminated. That's a difficult one. Verse 65 to 67. One must not associate with those who consider their body to be their self. Even if they don all the outward signs of a Vaishnava, one must never associate with such cheaters, for without doubt, they are attached to the objects of sense pleasure. It's a heavy one. Verse 74. If one is chastised by the Vaishnavas, one must remain silent and never contemplate causing them any harm. Oof. Okay. Verse 86. The worship of the Vaishnavas, we're almost at the end. Actually, this is the last verse. Okay. Verse 86. The worship of the Vaishnavas is truly the highest form of service to Bhagavan. Disrespecting the Vaishnavas is a more severe offense than disrespecting Vishnu himself. Better disrespect Vishnu himself than to disrespect the Vaishnavas. Wow, that's heavy. And the Charnamrita of Vaishnavas is even greater than the Charnamrita of Sri Vishnu. Know all of this to be true and free from lethargy. Worship the Vaishnavas with full dedication as you would worship Sri Vishnu. Wow, what amazing instructions, huh? If anybody wants these, let me know. I can send them to you. This is published in Rays of the Harmonist. Okay, I want to see if we can find that controversial article by Srila Bhakti Hṛdaya Gosvāmī Maharaj. Let's see. It was published in Rays of the Harmonist, somewhere in between 2005. I think it was at the end of the article. Maybe it was 2005 actually. Let's see. Open with preview here. Let's see. Is it? I remember it was at the end. I found it. Cool. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what I think about this article. If it should have been published or not. Okay. There's Srila Bhakti Hṛdaya Gosvāmī Maharaj. Sometime after the disappearance of Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, One of his prominent disciples, Srila Bhakti Hṛdaya Mahārāja, went to reside in Kashi, the abode of Vishwanath Shiva. The following is an excerpt from the first chapter of his book, Vaikuntha Pat. His purpose in telling this story is not to promote astrology, but to show the great danger of committing an offense at the lotus feet of Sri Guru. Okay. Early one morning in the winter of 1944, I sat on the bank of the Ganga with my eyes closed, chanting my mantras. Suddenly, by inner vision, I saw a golden lotus bloom on the surface of the Ganga. Dev Mahesh, Lord Shiva, appeared on that lotus, illuminating the sky with his bodily effulgence. Wow. His pale complexion resembled the moon of the autumn season. Various ornaments decorated his body. A smile adorned his face, and a trident was in his left hand. He raised his right hand to bless me, and then disappeared suddenly as lightning. He disappeared suddenly as lightning. The next moment, I heard an aerial voice. My dear son, your stay in Kashi has come to an end. You should journey to Sri Dham Vrindavan, where your cherished desires will be fulfilled. Startled, I wondered, oh, what did I actually see and hear? Was it real or just a dream? My meditation broke. When I opened my eyes, I saw that the sun had risen in the east. The hairs on my body were standing on end. I left the ghat and contemplated the experience as I slowly proceeded toward the Sri Vishwanath temple. Oh Dev Maheshwar, oh Jagat Guru, did I really see you or not? When have I ever performed such sadhan bhajan to merit receiving your darshan? Oh Prabhu, have you bestowed your causeless mercy upon someone as low and unworthy as myself? Alas, my doubtful heart is not ready to believe anything so easily. O Deva, please prove to me that I really did hear your aerial voice. If right now I can purchase a rose garland from the stall to the far right, among the garland stalls at Sri Vishwanath temple gate, and offer it to your linga inside, I will believe that I really saw and heard you. With this childish proposal in my mind, I approached the temple. The nearer I came, the more my heart pounded. My body slackened and my movements slowed down. What if I can't get a rose garland from that very stall? Oh Deva, please give me strength. Please protect my faith. Don't deprive me of your mercy. These were the thoughts flooding my mind. As I chanted Harinam as I proceeded towards the temple's main gate, glancing with anxiety and fear at the designated stall. Aha! Among all the garlands in that stall was only one fresh rose garland. The adjacent stalls did not have even a single rose flower, what to speak of a whole garland. I purchased that garland and devotedly offered it to Sri Linga with a determined vow to go to Sri Vrindavan Dham. When I returned to my ashram, I offered pranams to my deities, Shri Radha Govinda, and prayed for the compassion of Vrindavaneshwari. Without her mercy, one does not become qualified to enter her dham, what to speak of personally serve her. I went to Sri Vrindavan for a day and offered pranams to Sri Govindadev. By the mercy of Vrindavaneshwari, I was fortunate to be able to arrange a small place for my bhajan near the southern gate of Sri Madan Mohan temple. Fixing my return to Vrindavan, I then journeyed back to Kashi. In Kashi, I began to give regular Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata classes in my neighborhood, in my neighbor's house. I became intimate friends with another neighbor, Sri Mahāprabhu. I briefly told him my reason for leaving Kashi and going to Sri Vrindavan. I once mentioned to him that I felt I had been a sannyasi in the last 20 years of my previous life, but by some misfortune, I was forced to return to this world. Mahāprabhu could not really discard my words as mere speculation, but at the same time, he thought me to be a little mad. Granted, you may well have been a sannyasi in your past life, he said, but what proof do you have? I had no proof, but I told him that certain events from my previous life were now reflecting on the screen of my memory with as much clarity as a picture on a cinema screen. You may think I am mad, but what I say is true. Really, the only people who can understand this are those who have had a similar experience. I have no concrete proof. Rāmāprabhu became grave and stopped belittling my experience. He said, everything is possible in the kingdom of Bhagavan. To what extent can a man understand this? In the spiritual realm, faith is everything. Progress is impossible without it. At noon, on the day I was to leave Kashi, Rāmāprabhu came to me and reminded me to go to the temple and take Sri Vishwanath's permission to leave. I told him that we would go at 3 o'clock, as at that time the temple would be less crowded. We passed the interim speaking Harikatha. Speaking Harikatha. Then he asked me a question that seemed irrelevant to our topic of discussion. He wanted to know if someone had done my astrological chart, which shows the planets' positions at the time of birth. I told him that my father, Sri Rajnikanta Mukhopadhyay, was a master of Jyotish Shastra, of astrology, and had calculated my chart. I had a copy of that chart, but without a detailed interpretation. Rāmāprabhu said, anyway, it will serve the purpose. I drew that chart on a piece of paper and placed it in his hands. He carefully put it in his pocket and said, it is almost 3 o'clock. Let's go to the temple. We walked along the bank of the Ganga and eventually came to Dashashvamedha Ghat. Rāmāprabhu smiled and suggested we visit someone he knew in Vishwanath Lane. I followed him without question. We walked along a narrow alley and entered an old house. There, surrounded by many books, sat an elderly pundit. Rāmāprabhu greeted him and inquired about his well-being. He took the piece of paper from his pocket, gave it to the pundit, and asked him if he had that chart. I was intrigued as to how he could have any birth chart. Pandit Ji went into another room and began to search through old books. Rāmāprabhu turned to me and said, this is Bhrigu's office. Maharshi Bhrigu, the son of Lord Brahma, knew past, present, and future. He made more than 100,000 categories of charts, which accommodates the astrological birth details of all jivas. 5 minutes later, Pandit Ji came out smiling. I have found the chart. Meanwhile, Pandit Ji started reading out loud Bhrigu's statements that pertains to my chart, and we listened attentively. Upon hearing this explanation, I asked Pandit Ji if it was possible to procure a copy of it. He replied that it was possible for a 10 rupee fee. We left his house and again silently proceeded toward the Vishwanath temple. It was afternoon, so the temple was not crowded. I approached the deity of Sri Ashutosh, and bathing him with my tears, I submitted to him my heartfelt prayers. O Deva, your Leela is unprecedented and inconceivable. You hold my hands at every step. Where are you taking me? I postponed my journey to Sri Vrindavan for a few days, and the next day I went to Bhrigu's office and requested Pandit Ji to let me copy Bhrigu's words in relation to my chart. Usually, Pandit Ji would never have given that old book to anyone for fear of it becoming more dilapidated. But seeing that I was a sannyasi and having observed some exceptional features in my chart, he kindly placed that book in my hands. I wanted to personally copy the details to ensure no chance of error. Also, I did not want to doubt Pandit Ji by suspecting that he may have fabricated some portions of it just to please me. I copied the chart and paid him 10 rupees. After deliberating on the position of stars in my birth chart as described in Bhrigu Samhita and the subsequent events that took place, many questions arose in my mind. I pondered how that chart had mentioned significant events in the 42 years of my life that had passed with complete accuracy. Not all the details of my previous life were mentioned, but those that were mentioned were accurate. The charts then revealed more heart-shattering and astonishing news. In my previous life, while living as a sannyasi in my guru's ashram, I had a difference of opinion with him on one issue. I had opposed and insulted him, thereby committing severe offenses at his lotus feet. Consequently, I deviated from the path of liberation and had to accept yet another birth in this world. Even if I disregarded the chart's accurate reference to the incidents in my present life, its mention of this incident alone was enough to knock heavily at the closed doors of my heart. I had no doubts that I committed a severe offense in my past life. In this life also, I caused great pain to the extremely soft heart of my eternally worshipable, supremely compassionate Śrī Gurudev. Just 1 year before his disappearance, I unrelentingly opposed the very infrastructure of the Gaudiya mission that he established, as well as the policies of the mission, the sinful deeds of some of the Math residents, and the aggressive competitiveness among some of Gurudev's servants for profit, adoration, and fame. I also objected to the lack of focus on trying to subdue such tendencies, the way the mission functioned, and its managerial ideas. The contaminated nature of my previous life has indeed been reflected in my present life. And as I ponder this, my heart burns in the agony of regret and of feelings of separation from my Gurudev. A person's misfortune lies not in adopting the process by which he can be pardoned for his offense at the lotus feet of Śrī Guru. Wait, let me reread that. A person's misfortune lies not in adopting the process by which he can be pardoned for his offense at the lotus feet of Śrī Guru, whose causeless and unlimited compassion enables one to obtain service to the lotus feet of Śrī Hari. My offenses at the lotus feet of Śrī Gurudev, birth after birth, have caused me to deviate from my goal. I realize this and know that when my heart becomes pure like molten gold by burning in the fire of regret, Shri Krishna Chandra will bestow his mercy upon me. Contemplating this, the creeper of hope in my heart flourishes. This is beautiful. My Gurudev is the embodiment of mercy. He will surely forgive me, knowing me to be his eternal servant. Aparadi jane kripa, vitrane shodhite nahi se katar. He is so liberal. His mercy rectifies even an offender. These words are full of hope. Gurudev always forgives the disciple. This very moment is the predestined time to wash away my offenses from my present and previous lives by bathing the lotus feet of Śrī Guru with the tears from my eyes and offering the flower of my life at his feet. Wow, that was a powerful article. The title of it is A Profound Experience in the Life of Śrī Srimad Bhakti Hṛdaya Mahārāja. And that was from his book. What was the title of the book again? Vaikunthar Pat. I don't see what was controversial about this article. Anyhow, Jai Śrīla Bhakti Hṛdaya Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. All right, so that is our reading for today. I'll just do a quick Mahamantra and then we'll end with Jai Dvani. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitāi Gaur Hari Bol, Nitāi Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Sacinandana Gaurahari. I'm going to just do shortened Jai Dvani because it's late. Jai Shri Sacinandana Gaurahari ki Jai. Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai. Jai Srila Gurudev ki jai, Śrīla Param Gurudev ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Śrī Rūpānuga Guru Varga ki jai, Swapārshad Śrī Gaurahari Prabhu ki jai, Śrī Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Gana ki jai, Śrī Giriraj Mahārāja ki jai, Śrī Tulsi Mahārāṇī Vrinda Devi ki jai, Śrī Bhakti Devi ki jai, Śrī Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai, Śrī Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai, Śrī Harinam Sankirtana ki jai, Jai Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai. All the associates of Nityānanda Prabhu ki jai. Swapārshad Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu ki jai. Jai Śrī Nityānanda Rama ki jai. The last servant of Śrī Nityānanda Ram, Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai. Jai Śrī Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Oh, Mahaprabhu's removing the doubt of the brāhmaṇ about Nityānanda Prabhu ki jai. Jai Śrīla Bhakti Hṛdaya Ban Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Tadiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi ki jai. Jai Śrī Rāmānujācārya ki jai. Tadiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi ki jai. Śrī Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Śrī Nitāi Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai. Oh, oops, I forgot. Śrī Keshav Pratam Divas ki jai. The 1 month long watering of Tulsi Devi ki jai. Śrī Nitāi Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha. Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, dear devotees. Dandavat pranams, Niri Hari Prabhu and Pavatarani Mataji. Oh, and all the devotees on Zoom. There were a bunch of devotees on Zoom, but they all left. But let's see on YouTube and Facebook who's still there. I see there's 8 devotees. Hari Bol, everybody. Rasapriya Didi, Dandavat pranams, or Seshwari Mataji. Jai Krishna Prabhu, Sudevi Didi, Amit Dandekar, Rup Manjari Didi, and Nitāi, Rukmini Didi, Shubhananda Prabhu, Vidyalalasa Didi, Vishaka Didi, Ganga Mataji, Vilasa Manjari Didi, Krishna Tulsi, Śrī Ram Tulsi, Rukmini Didi, who else? Dandavat pranams. Thank you so much for joining, staying for such a long time. Today is an extra long reading. See you all tomorrow to continue our reading of the 6th chapter, Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata. Hari Bol. Oh, and if anybody likes, we just did our puja this morning for the first day of Keshav Vrat, and I put the video on, we did it right before the reading, and I just uploaded it to Facebook if anybody wants to see. All right, Hari Bol. See you tomorrow.